Michael Frankel for CageMinds.com. Got a special guest joining me today on the phone. Gilbert Jamal Smith, RFA 22 headliner, fighting for the vacant welterweight title against Chidi Njorkuani. Thank you for the time, Gilbert, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, brother.
So, 8 days away from the fight, how are you feeling?
Oh, man, I tell you the truth, I haven't felt better. You know, everything is going according to plan, no injuries. Cardio is doing good. You know, the strategies and plans we come together, seem like it's starting to work out. And, you know, the support I'm getting from the community has been awesome. Ticket sales are looking good on my part. So, you know, I've been blessed. So I'm feeling real good and real positive.
What's that like for you? Second fight with RFA, the hometown advantage, the spotlight, the title fight, a huge moment for you.
Yeah, you know, I feel like I've been here before. I feel like I've been in these type of predicaments, and not all at once. But, you know, I fought in Colorado Springs many times. You know, that's the way I came up. I fought a championship fight here, actually 5 rounds. So I've been through that scenario. You know, I've been in big fights. You know, I fought in the UFC on the Ultimate Fighter finale. So I've been in big fights against really tough guys. So, you know, but it's all coming together in one spot. So I'm pulling from a lot of different experience to make sure that I'm there mentally.
So, what has now matured over the last 6 fights? What's changed in you and now made this the right time for you to have your moment?
You know, basically, you know, coming up Ultimate Fighter, I was kind of training myself. You know, I was my own coach, but you know, I went up to Denver and I got a coach, got with a different team, and everything grew. Like I still have my guys, but now I have guys at a higher level. So you know, I really feel I'm mature. I'm coming into my own. I'm believing in myself, and I just feel like, you know, this Jamal is unbeatable. I mean, I feel like I show up and it's going to be a good night.
So over the last 2 years, how much of a process was it fine-tuning that aspect between running what you do and then also being able to spend the time with the family and divide the time into driving, you said, up to Denver to get that training also in?
Well, that's incredibly tough. That's still a process. The amount of time that I sacrifice away from my kids, away from my family, that's something I'm still dealing with, and I wish there was another way. But you know, I have to sacrifice, and you know, to fulfill my dreams. Luckily enough for me, my kids understand it. They're old enough to see what I'm doing and realize what I'm doing. My friends understand it. You know, and it's just something you got to do. I mean, the problem is that people are just not willing to sacrifice. You know, a lot of people are not afraid to fail. They're afraid to succeed, because with success, it means you have to sacrifice. To fail is very easy. All you got to do is do the bare bone minimum, if that. So you know, I'm going out there and I'm busting my butt to gain success.
Is that one of the reasons why we saw you come off the Ultimate Fighter and it was 2 months later you were back in the cage in Colorado for Fight to Win?
Yeah, I mean, you know, come off the Ultimate Fighter, you know, it was really interesting when I fought in the finale. Is that it wasn't my time. It wasn't my time. I wasn't there at that fight mentally. I remember going into the cage and thinking about, wow, this is Mandalay Bay, and I was looking up at the ceiling, seeing all the old UFC posters, and I was like, that's crazy. Walking out, people screaming at me. You know, I just wasn't there mentally. So you know, I wasn't prepared for that type of level of experience. The fact is, what people don't understand is I went from Colorado Springs, a local promotion, No Mercy, which is a great upstart promotion, straight to the UFC. That's like going from like middle school to the pros. I had no middle ground. So it was a lot to take in, but now it's a different Jamal, and I'm ready.
And then what's it been like talking about being ready? You went from that to MFC, Legacy, now fighting with RFA. You've had almost every one of those middle promotions. Titan, you fought on every level now and almost every promotion in America.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there, done that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why after this fight with a really good win, I have to go to the UFC, because anything else would be just me moving laterally and not moving up. And I fought tough guys. I went out there and got some really strong wins, and I demonstrated that I'm one of the best 170-pound fighters who's not signed in the UFC. And I beat majority of everybody that came across my way. So, and a lot of these times, when I went into these fights, I was the underdog. I was the one I was expected to lose, because you guys typically have better records than me and more experience than me, but I went out there and beat them. So, fighting in those promotions was a great experience. I love them, but it's time for me to move on to another level.
And then how much does it, talking about moving on to another level, does it feel like a full circle? Like you said, you came from Colorado Springs, and then that will be the springboard again.
Well, you know what? I didn't think about it like that, but you're absolutely correct. I think, to make it full circle and to make this jump to the next level in Colorado Springs, you couldn't have scripted a better scenario. I mean, if you want to write a Cinderella movie, write my life, write my story, write everything I've been through, and then I win January 9th, and then maybe get signed to UFC and get put on the fight night, the UFC fight night on February 14th in Bloomfield. How perfect would that be?
You've been on a rampant pace then. We're talking about this will be your 5th fight in 12 months. Do you think you could do something like that if you did score a win and came away unscathed? If they offered you a spot on that card, would you be able to? Or is that just doing too much in too short of a time?
I mean, I guess it kind of depends how this fight goes. If I come out this fight with relatively, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be, beaten up a little bit, bruised up a little bit, I'm not expecting to go in there and come out, unscathed. But if I come out there in relatively decent shape, like my last fight, yeah, why not, man? Let's do it. I would jump that Monday. I'll be back in training camp. If Joe Silva called me up and say, "Hey, Jamal, I want you to fight in Denver, good fight." Friday night, but I want you to fight in Denver February 14th, which is a little bit less than a little bit over a month away. I'll be like, "Yes, sir. Send me the contract. Give me my opponent. Let's get this thing going."
The last fight, what was your biggest takeaway? Because me watching it, I just rewatched it again. The way you survived after the head kick was probably most impressive. Being able to get yourself and get the underhook and getting back up after taking that big shot. What was your biggest takeaway from your last win?
The thing about the last fight was very interesting was the fact that I didn't know his kickboxing pedigree. I thought I know he was a little bit of a grappler. That's where most of his wins come from. Listening to the commentating after I watched the fight, I think Mike Chiavello said that he was 12-2 in Muay Thai, and he had 8 knockouts. And I felt like I was beating him on the feet. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a taller, lengthy guy, and I was beating him. And I got caught because I think I got a little bit lax, a little bit, playing around. I was getting too comfortable, and I got caught. But the fact is, just no quit in me, man. You're gonna have to put me out. My eyes gonna have to be rolling in the back of my head for you to get a win over me. Because I'm gonna come back. And I'm gonna grind on you. I'm gonna be on you. I'm gonna be punching, kicking, taking you down, choking you out, squeezing, holding, slamming, whatever. I'm on you all day long. There's no quit. So, it was a good experience for me to go through a fight like that and come back. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really showed my heart. But I already knew it. Now other people know it.
Talking about what other people know, also a lot of people thought you were just a grappler, but everyone's a mixed martial artist. We understand how high level the training is and the teams that you're with, so then they got to see the great striking coming out, though I remember a combination, you going body head, it was just beautiful in that fight. So how much is it now everyone seeing that it's a complete package coming at them?
Hey man, listen, let's keep that a secret, bro. Let's keep that a secret. I don't know nothing about boxing. I don't know nothing about kickboxing. I'm just a sloppy wrestler, bro. Let's keep that a secret, man. Don't tell nobody about that.
So yeah, we got a grappler versus a striker, and you're just gonna come in head forward looking for the takedowns like Njorkuani's last couple opponents, right?
Exactly. It's exactly what I'm gonna do. That's the plan. I'm just gonna rush them and I'm gonna hold them, and that's it. I don't want to punch. I don't want to kick. I don't know nothing about that stuff. And hell, even my grappling really ain't that good. So I'm just a lay and pray type dude. That's it.
So how much of that criticism, how just tired are you hearing of that stuff by now?
I really don't care, man. As long as I keep winning fights, I don't care what people think about my skill set and how I win fights. The fact is that if you doubt me and if you think I'm one person, then that's fine, because when it's time to fight, I'm gonna shock you. It all works in my favor. You know what I'm saying? So the fact of the matter is that I just need to win fights. And yes, I need to finish fights, but you know, um, that's gonna come. So I'm happy to be who I am, and I'm not trying to be anybody else but myself.
And then it seems every fight you're going into, the reach and the height advantage is on the other side. So is it just something normal that you used to, working on the head movement, the foot movement to get on the inside? Is there any changes or any new things that you're doing fight by fight to do that? Because we know you come in with those natural disadvantages.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm always going to be the shorter fighter, but the fact is, I have a long reach for my height. I mean, my reach is not as long as Chidi, but my reach is 75.5 for a guy that's only 69 inches. So most of the time, you typically have the same reach as a guy that's 6'3", 6'2". And I'm way more explosive, you know. So I don't care about reach, man. All my training partners are just as tall and long too. So getting an inside, kickboxing at range, whatever, man. I'm prepared to do it all. But yeah, it's good to have the training partners that I have that gives me the practice, to make sure that I understand my range and know how to engage without taking too much damage.
And how much has that been the trick? Also, just being able to learn how to slide out. Also, the arms are the same length, but not catching anything because they're coming down at different angles, I guess, than used to a straight punch because of that height.
Well, the thing is that these guys have more things to worry about from me. You know what I'm saying? They have to worry about not only the punching and kicking, they got to worry about the takedown. So these guys, they can't stand tall. They can't stand to their 6'3" height. Because if they stand to the 6'3" height, then it just makes it that much easier for the takedown. So a lot of times, these guys come down to my height, which kind of allows me to stand tall, because I'm not worried about these guys trying to take me down. Please try to take me down. But which makes it easier for me to strike. So, I mean, we break these things down accordingly, and we really look at things, and a lot of this stuff really plays into my advantage, because how these guys have to adapt to me. It's not like these guys are coming from a high level wrestling background, and then they're a kickboxer. That'll make it a little bit more difficult. But a lot of these guys are just kickboxers, maybe a little jiu-jitsu. So I'm able to adapt and use my game plan to my advantage.
And then is it also, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but also because you're at your natural stance, and like you said, they're having to get down to your eye level, so they're not at their most comfortable stance. Does that make it easier for you to be at your full speed and notice they're not as moving as fluently because they're in a different stance almost than what they're used to?
I mean, I'm not too sure about that, but I would say it makes a question thing. Am I going to shoot now? Or am I going to punch? Am I going to punch, or am I going to shoot? It's that question mark. Fighting somebody like Chidi, like I know his game. Like he's going to punch and kick me, and he's going to do it in the worst way possible. I get that, right? But listen, one, I could take a punch. Two, I could punch back. But once I don't have to worry about it, him, throwing an override hand and changing levels and shooting and taking me out, and even if he did get a takedown by somehow I slipped or he just caught me in a crazy angle, he can't hold me down, and he's not going to sit there and be able to submit me or land significant ground and pound, because my scrambling, my control, my off my back, on top, on the side is very, very dominant, especially at 170. And I was dominating at 185. I mean, listen, I know the threats, and these guys, they know the threats, but I feel like fighting me is a lot trickier than me fighting them.
And then when you're talking about that, how important is it for you to add in fakes too? Because then they don't know if you're really going to throw or you're just setting up to throw for the takedown. What are you faking on? How much is that, everything that you're doing, every little movement in your stand-up to set those up?
Well, everything has to come from somewhere. Everything has to come from a setup, right? When you get to this level, with these guys as training as hard as they train, and they're training with the teachers and instructors they have, you can't just come in and think you're just going to run at them with something and they're just going to accept it. And if it works out, like that, then, maybe you caught somebody sleeping. But majority of the time, just everybody's prepared for the simple combos or the simple shots, so you can put it together and make it seamlessly. You got to throw the combos. You got to do everything. This is MMA, and I really believe that once you put yourself in a predicament that you're able to be very fluent and be like water, like Bruce Lee say, that's when you become the most dangerous and you become the most athletic. And success, is a higher probability of happening.
Has this been your philosophy the whole time, or what has been new that you've adapted your philosophy lately in your thinking towards MMA?
Well, I think this has been my philosophy. The only thing different now is that I'm better at what I do. I'm more confident at what I do. So, I always understood the game because I became a student of the game. I traveled the world from Thailand, from Amsterdam to Brazil, all over the country. I trained with some of the best guys, and I saw it. I watched MMA all day, every day. I watched boxing. I watched wrestling. I watched jiu-jitsu. I watched kickboxing. So I understand the game. I respect every facet of the sport. So, but now, my body is going into my skill set, and my skill set is going into my body. And with the coaches and the training and the conditioning and experience of being in the cage, I'm just it's all coming together now.
So a lot of it's been repetition and kind of maturity. It's just a growing process that you've reached that point that you're ready to get back to that upper echelon of competition again.
Yeah. I mean, one is there's always constant growth. There's always a constant maturity type thing or maturing, and But yeah, I feel like this Jamal is ready for that level, and I hope to go out there and show and prove. I could talk about it all day long, but it means nothing if I go out there and produce an egg.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this. Winning this fight, this would be your first MMA world title, right?
Yes.
So
I've had titles, but this will be the first world title.
So what would this mean? What would this win at home in 8 days? What would that mean, having that RFA title and getting that call back up? What does the RFA title mean, though?
It means a lot. It means that, once I go into the UFC, I'll be going into a UFC, with a legit resume. A lot of guys get signed to the UFC, and you wonder, like, who is this guy? Who have this guy fought or fought for or fought under? You don't even know. He got a crazy record, but like everybody he fought, he got a losing record. And you're like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? These guys getting signed over these choked up, built up records. You know what I'm saying? But me coming into your feet, like, this dude is legit. He's got a real belt. He fought real dudes. He went hard. He had a stumbling block and came back. And this guy is legit, and he earned his shot.
And then also, how has it helped, like we said, Titan, Legacy, MFC, RFA? You've been very much still in the spotlight since that time on The Ultimate Fighter. How has that helped you with just also sponsors and staying relevant?
Yeah, I mean, I think, people know my name. Since I go in the UFC, they won't be like, Gilbert? And, people know my name. They know me from The Ultimate Fighter. They know me from Titan. They know me from Legacy. They know me from MFC. So, hopefully, getting back into the UFC, sponsorship will be a little bit easier before the whole Reebok thing take over back in July. I hope to be in the UFC before that. So maybe I get a little taste of the sponsorship before everything completely change. But even after the Reebok deal happened, you can still get sponsorships. You just get it inside the cage. But maybe companies want to work with me on the side and do different things. But at least they know who I am and what I represent. I represent the sport. I represent maturity. I represent being a professional. I'm a very educated man. I'm a family man. I'm a military vet. I represent a lot of the great stuff this country is built upon. So. hopefully, with the experience, it really will help me, maybe even get a better contract with the UFC coming from the RFA or as a champion, having a decent name. Who knows?
Right. First things first, though, got to get that win. What's one thing
That's
that
what
you
I'm
need to
about.
accomplish? It is a big fight. What do you have to accomplish in this fight to ensure that you get your hand raised?
Man, I have to. There's no quit. I don't care. Like, listen, I expect at some point in this fight, Chidi going to have a little bit of success. I think he's a tough fighter. I think that he's he's gonna implement his game plan, and I have to shut him down. But throughout 5 rounds, or however long it lasts, I have to accept certain failures. In other words, if he gets me with something, I gotta be like, okay, that's good. Come back and come back and get him back. What I'm saying? I cannot let him get his confidence, feeling good and catch his rhythm. So the whole time I gotta be in his face. I gotta be grinding. I gotta be going, and it cannot be a moment of questioning. Like, if you watch my last fight against Bojan, like the first round, like I really didn't go for the takedown. I kind of went for the takedown. He stopped it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna strike with him. You know what I'm saying? And then afterwards, I was going for the takedown. He was stopping me, and then I was like, I moved to something else. Or I don't get the takedown. I go harder for the takedown, and then I get it. Or he actually went for the takedown. I was able to reverse it on and take him down. So in the fight, there's always hills, peaks, and valleys, right? And you always got to be confident. You got to be strong. You cannot show moments of weakness. You got to bite down on that mouthpiece and believe in yourself.
It is a huge fight. I myself will be driving up to see it live. Can't wait for it. I know there's a lot of people supporting you, and who did you need to shout out to?
Okay, so I'm gonna try to make sure I don't forget anybody. I've flown with the people I train with, and I want to thank my school, Victory MMA, Factory Muay Thai in Denver, Cats Rock Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, Hustle Hard Boxing, Fit Quest in Colorado Springs, which we're called the Barrow. I want to thank CSU Wrestling, Dax Charles, for letting me come down and work with his beast. I want to thank my sponsors, Hugh Burger Subaru, for really supporting me, Fit Quest for supporting me, Panina's Restaurant off of A Street for supporting me, Fox and the Hound Restaurant for supporting me. I want to thank Chiropractic Care Recovery Center, my chiropractor, David Lawrison, my physical therapist at Rocky Mountain Rehab, Jeremy Snyder, and my kids, my family, my friends, and all my training partners. Hopefully I don't forget anybody, but I'm pretty sure I did. But yeah, I want to thank everybody.
There's a ton of them. Sure, it happens to everybody. It's the one thing every fighter's like, oh, you know who I forgot? It happens.
Yeah.
But thank you for the time. RFA 22, Access TV if you can't be in Colorado Springs. We'll see you all up there. And again, thank you for the time, Gilbert Jamal Smith. And we'll see everybody up in Colorado Springs.
All right, brother. Take it easy. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.